Mr. Rice, thank you for your time. Appreciate your succinct answers and perspective. Well, US President Donald Trump has replaced his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, following a scandal over a Signal chat group leak saying he would appoint him as ambassador to the United Nations instead. In the first major cabinet shakeup of Trump's new term, the president said Secretary of State Marco Rubio would now also serve as his interim national security advisor following Waltz's departure. The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine revealed at the time that Waltz had mistakenly added him to a group, and it was a chat about US strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels on the commercial messaging app Signal. Trump had repeatedly offered his backing in public to Waltz amid the ongoing probe, while in the end, Waltz lasted just over 100 days of Trump's second term. Democrats are now turning up the heat on Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who revealed timings that US warplanes would take off to bomb targets in the same Signal chat. Mr. Raymond Vickery, former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce, is joining us from Washington, D.C. at this point in time. Mr. Vickery, appreciate you taking out the time and speaking to us. Well, would you consider this an embarrassment for the Trump administration? And, this Signal chat leak, Mr. Vickery, happened a few weeks ago. Why has it taken Donald Trump so long to fire this individual who obviously has compromised American security?
Well, thanks very much for having me. I think you're absolutely right. This is an embarrassment to the president. In his first term, he fired Michael Flynn, his national security advisor, within 4 weeks of coming on board, and now he's repeating the same sort of chaotic approach to international relations. I think what this shows is that this sort of personal transactional approach where you listen to whoever is the last one in to talk to you is not the correct way to run the United States foreign policy. Unfortunately, Mike Waltz was one of the saner people in the White House in terms of understanding the importance of having allies if you're going to build peace and prosperity throughout the world, which should be the goal of all great democracies, whether they be the United States, whether they be India, whether they be in Europe or Japan. The question now is, where do you go from here? Mike Waltz was really an internationalist. He was in favor of supporting Ukraine. He was one that had a realistic approach in regard to Iran and the prospects of war there. And what has happened is that the J.D. Vance wing of the foreign policy, perhaps supported by the oligarchs at Treasury and Commerce, have gotten together to oust one of the saner, as I say, more logical approaches to foreign policy. I would note that Mike Waltz was a strong supporter of the U.S.-India relationship in foreign affairs. That voice has now been stilled. And of course, it's ridiculous for the vice president to say this is some kind of promotion, putting him up at the UN. That is to get him really out of the Washington policy-making milieu without completely alienating the traditional Republicans who have been very strong in favor of international involvement to build peace and prosperity through institutions, through multilateral approaches. So this is a sad and dangerous time, but it's typical of what's happening in the Trump administration. And now it's up to other great democracies, such as India, to try to fill in some of the gaps and rise to the occasion to provide not just protection of their own borders, but trying to reinstate some institutional, organizational approach as opposed to a personal, transactional take on almost everything that comes along.
And Mr. Vickery, what do you make of the first 100 days for Donald Trump? His ratings are abysmally low. In fact, the last time somebody had such low ratings, an American president had such low ratings, was in the 1930s and 40s. And of course, that's a different era and time altogether. What do you make of Donald Trump's, unpopularity going through the roof in the last few weeks?
Well, I think that finally some people are waking up to the fact that the man is not qualified to be president of the United States. There were those who wanted some change, who saw difficulties with President Biden and his age, who really were not Republicans or Democrats necessarily, but independents. And too many of those people went along with Donald Trump. And now people are seeing that the kind of narcissistic mania, which is on exhibit in the rallies, in any appearances on his social media, are contrary to their own interest. The stock market has had the worst month since 1932 in April. Things are not going as planned in regard to the so-called Liberation Day. He had to back off from that. So, in a word, chaos is what is ruling, and people are seeing it. They may not have understood during the campaign because President Trump is a very good reality TV host. That's what he did for 14 years, and that's the way he made his mark publicly. But it takes a lot more than that to be president of the United States, and it takes some institutional backup as opposed to a great man simply making deals the way he fancied himself in regard to real estate.
Mr. Vickery, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us. Well, that's all we have time for.